He told me his mother had called me the phase that had lasted too long. He told me he had realized that protecting me from that insult meant confronting it instead of translating it into palatable silence. I have been polite, he said. Politeness is not love. I tasted the broth. I tasted a future where sentences had weight and consequence, and we decided not to move back into the family house. We found the flat near the river where the windows admitted sunlight as if it had been waiting for us personally. I returned to my work at the center. He took a job at a small civic nonprofit where meetings were held in a circle and minutes were handwritten. We bought a table that bore the scars of other people's dinners. We learned again. Kiss on the way out. Apology that didn't tack on an excuse. Laughter we paid for by washing dishes together. We were not healed, we were healing. But society does not love quietly. Invitations came with velvet ropes hidden inside envelopes. Adrian's friends were curious. Come to the gala, Sabine texted. It will be good for you. For whom? The message felt like a dare. He asked me if I wanted to go. It wasn't pressure. It was a step he was offering me the choice to take or refuse. If we go, I said. I refused to stand in a corner and smile like furniture. He grinned, a brief flash of the boy in the seafoam shirt. You've never been furniture, he said. You've always been the room. We went. I wore a dress that belonged to no one's narrative but mine, a slip of midnight with a neckline that invited honesty. He wore a suit he had mended himself, a neat line of stitching inside the pocket, a secret he carried like a vow. The ballroom glittered like a well-fed lie. The Del Rosarios were there, his mother precise as a scalpel, his father standing with men who liked to nod in unison. Liam waved. Sabine approached, lips the color of a bruise. Elena, she breathed, you look extraordinary. She meant how astonishing this is that you came out of a service corridor and into light. I smiled. So do you, I said, leaving no space on which to climb. It took exactly 40 minutes for someone to ask for our love story again. Perhaps they thought it charming, the way a child pokes a bruise to test its reality. Adrian glanced at me, a question held between us with a tension that felt like a violin string tuned to the perfect pitch. I answered before he could. I could taste the shape of the word made in my mouth, bitter like grapefruit rind. I took it anyway. I used to work in his family's home, I said, not as confession, but as claim. It's where I learned how to make silver shine and how to erase my footsteps, which is useful when a house wants to pretend you're not there. He met me there, saw only part of me there, and then we both went out into the light to find the rest. Silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes it is a stage setting itself. People shifted, glasses paused midair. Somewhere, cutlery touched a plate in a dry little kiss. Adrian took a breath and then another. I humiliated my wife once, he said. The word wife landed like something heavy and alive. I thought telling the truth would make me brave, but I confused the truth with the easiest fact. I hurt her because I wanted to look effortless. I am here to look like effort. His father's face hardened. His mother's gaze could have stripped wallpaper. He looked only at me. An old friend of his, Miriam, kind eyes, honest laughter, stepped closer. Thank you for saying that out loud, she said to both of us. It helps the rest of us find better words. Liam, surprisingly, lifted his glass, and for once his bravado was quiet. To effort, he said. To showing up with both hands. Sabine's mouth softened. Later, she touched my elbow with an apology I didn't expect and didn't need, but accepted anyway, like a flower left on a doorstep. We left early. We found a greasy spoon where the waitresses call everyone sweetheart, and where the pies look like they were made by someone's exhausted aunt with a golden touch. In a booth sticky with decades, we held hands under the table like teenagers, and it was not regression but rebirth. I know it's just words, he said. No, I told him, it's never just words. Words build the rooms we live in. Tonight you didn't leave me to furnish ours alone. Months turned into seasons, and the story we had chosen to inhabit became a place with windows and a front door that welcomed guests and asked them to wipe their feet. His parents invited us to a Sunday lunch at the house, perhaps out of love, perhaps out of curiosity, to see if we still fit through their door frames. I wore a skirt that swished like intent. Rafaela came with us because I asked her to. I wanted the smell of garlic and truth to float around that table like protection. We sat beneath the oil portraits. His mother poured wine. "Elena," she said, "I was wrong." The words were brittle, but they were words. "You were proud," I said. "And I was too. A different kind of pride." She blinked, as if susceptible to sudden weather. His father cleared his throat. "My father was a driver," he said abruptly, surprising himself with his own admission. "I married above my station." I forgot. Or I forced myself to. Oh, he stared at his hands as if they might confess more. "This house does that," I said. "It hypnotizes you into thinking it built itself." We ate. We told small stories. The ghosts in the vents listened, and for once they seemed willing to retire. One evening, not long after, the community center hosted a fundraiser. We decided to make it a place where the girls' stories were the entertainment instead of background noise. We strung paper cranes from the ceiling and tied ribbons to chairs. There was a glass jar labeled "Rent" in big, honest letters. The girls read their pieces at a microphone that squeaked badly and valiantly. They read about scrubbing floors while whispering poems to themselves about their mother's hands and promises they'd made to the girl in the mirror. People cried the way people cry when they recognize themselves on someone else's page. After a man approached me, polished and thoughtful, he asked if I considered turning our story into a wider conversation, a program for domestic workers about self-advocacy and financial literacy. Adrian squeezed my shoulder. "You should lead it," he whispered. "Or better, they should." I said yes. The jar filled. The girls danced to bad pop with Sacred Hearts. Our life became ordinary in the ways that matter. Laundry, grocery lists, arguments about how to load the dishwasher. Our life became extraordinary in the ways that matter too. Letters from girls who had opened their own bank accounts. A text from Sabine asking how to talk to her new boyfriend about money without shame. A message from Liam boasting that he had apologized to a barista for a tone he'd have sworn was harmless. Small revolutions, a nest built twig by twig. On our 3rd anniversary, paper, leather, or glass, depending on which tradition you honor, we sat on our battered couch and watched the river make up its mind. "Tell me again," he said. "How did we meet?" It was not a test. It was a ritual. "I was carrying a tray," I said. "You were carrying a secret." He laughed into my hair. "I still am every day," he said. "The secret is that I don't know everything." I pressed my thumb to his pulse, steady as a metronome. "Good," I said. "Mystery looks good on you." He asked if I wanted to return to the family house for a celebration his parents were hosting, not out of duty, but because they had asked specifically to honor the center. "They've changed," he offered cautiously. "People don't change," I said, and then softened. "They choose again and again." We went. The servants had new uniforms. Less costume, more dignity. I slipped 50 envelopes into apron pockets anyway, because sometimes love is not a teaching moment, but a grocery bill paid on time. His mother hugged me at the door. Brief, real. It felt like a bridge you could cross without looking down. When someone asked, inevitably, how we had met, we gave the longer answer. We spoke of a house that taught us the choreography of power and how we stepped out of it. We spoke of a word that once felt like a bruise and now felt like a scar, the difference being that scars belong to you. We spoke of running away, not to punish but to locate ourselves. We said wife and husband and meant equal. We said sorry and meant please let me try again. We said I forgive you and meant I am choosing us deliberately, with full knowledge of the cost. After the speeches, after the applause that meant little and the handshakes that meant less, we walked to the old kitchen. I wanted to see the tiles I had leaned against that first night, the faucet that had witnessed my first broken heart in a house of inherited ones. The room had new paint, but the same old bones. I touched the edge of the counter, a small blessing. "Thank you," I whispered, surprising myself. Gratitude for the place where I learned my edges, for the girl who washed a clean glass because she had nowhere else to put her hands. I wanted to tell her that it gets better, not because the world changes into something dazzling overnight, but because you learn to build within it without vanishing. On the way home, the city laid its lights at our feet. "You didn't deserve what I did," he said, a last echo from another life. And yet I did it. I took his hand. We both came from houses that trained us to look at ourselves in mirrors that lied, I said. We broke them. Now we get to choose our own reflections. He kissed my knuckles like a vow, renewed in small print. We crossed the street. We went upstairs. We slept with the window open because the night smelled like rain and everything forgiven that cannot be forgotten. When people asked, "How did you build something like this? This life, this work, this circle of women who walk into rooms without apologizing for taking up space?" I say, we built it the way you fold fitted sheets. Patiently, swearing a little, believing there is a corner that will meet another corner if you keep looking. We built it the way you polish silver, slowly, until you recognize yourself in the reflection without losing the lines that prove you lived. Sometimes, when an evening is soft and the basil has gone mad with joy, we sit on the terrace, not in a grand house, but in our little kingdom of scratches and laughter and clean, honest walls. Adrian tells the story wrong, on purpose, to make me laugh, casting himself as an ogre and me as a sorceress with a mop. I let him, because recovery has humor. Then I take the story back and tell it plain and beautiful. I was a maid in a house that wanted me invisible. I fell in love with a man who thought love alone could erase a world. He introduced me to his friends as a maid, and it broke something I didn't know could break. I left. I returned on my own terms. We rebuilt. I am not ashamed of where I came from. I am not ashamed of what I demanded. We are what happens when the truth finally sits at the head of the table and everyone learns its name. And on nights when the river is loud and the balcony smells like thunderstorms, I remember the corridor where we began, the way light pooled, the way my collar scratched. I think of all the girls who will never have to lower their voices to be loved. I think of the word wife and how it fits me like a dress I tailored myself. Seams let out where I needed to breathe, hem raised so I can run. I think of the word maid and how it no longer hurts, only reminds. And I think of love, not as a chandelier, fragile and admired, but as a kitchen table that bears elbows, arguments, and the daily bread. This is our table. This is our love. It creaks. It holds. It is ours.